YouTube comments from a video titled AI Whistleblower, We Are Being Gaslit by AI Companies, They're Hiding the Truth. Karen Hao. Part 32.
At Iantrulus wrote,
J.E.'s Stefan. You open with a subscribe ask. Dude, you're doing just fine. You don't need the whole world subscribed to you. You're a millionaire. Chill and fix her collar.
At Jesse Cunningham 920 wrote,
I reflect this moment in the historic invention of the internet in relation to the telephone and how that impacted how we live, interact, and its permanent disruption. Even to the fact the military used it prior to public release. There's so much overlap, especially when AI builds upon the internet infrastructure. Is this history a rhyme?
At Robert Circle 1517 wrote,
Demographics, depopulation and the collapse of taxes and corporate profits. Astrum Drive. Totalitarianism might maybe be a thing. Or it'll be all hands on deck. Oil running out will trump all of these things, and I will be a savior because physics is dead, ended and slow, really slow. Without mud huts are humanity's future. Think bigger picture.
At Delphs 5984 wrote,
Damn, the interviewer sounds completely removed from reality. He's talking with a big smile about firing thousands of people at the phone in the middle of the interview. That looked borderline inhumane. I guess that's what happens when you consistently interact with the top 1% of the most successful people out there. In any case, still, thanks for having Karen Hao on the podcast and challenging her with your questions.
At Bellicata 3079 wrote,
Best thing that could happen is to shut the whole shit show down. AI is going to rape the earth, decimate wildlife and natural resources, cause immense human suffering, yet the fools out there who refuse to use their own brain honestly think they need it. It's all a big lie designed to control the masses. Will a few people get rich? See yourselves.
At Vismian Lifriend wrote,
I went to a class taught to me about indigenous medicine. We made a bath bomb for us girls. I was told at the group that sometimes our secrets get lost because hide our recipes, and they don't get taught to the next generation. She was thinking profit versus non-profit.
Sunai Dolphin wrote,
These AI CEOs like to talk about universal basic income and dangle that carrot of consolation around, but where's the commitment? At what point does it become mandatory that people laid off due to AI are compensated long-term? Elon Musk was on Moonshots recently talking about a universal high income. That made me doubt that there will be any financial safety net at all for humans. And the 10 billion robots they create will make sure we can't uprise against them.
Koenig Jaeger wrote,
You can't break them up. People, as a general rule, need to stop using it in the everyday situation. The utility is not what people think it is.
At Dustin Werender 8955 wrote,
I hate to come at this person, but I'm autistic, so is my son, and I can sense her nerves in what she's talking about. It's as if she only knows it well enough that she has studied it the week before. It's not like in her soul. Whereas she could just rattle off about it, she's nervous to bring everything up as if she's being judged like she's in court. And I imagine she hopes to be in court someday to split up these companies. This is how she'll make her career. It is a path of destiny that maybe very few are in line with. It's a demand for the job that she's in. It's just, will the demand last? Will the demand of her job, her career that she's pursuing, have an ultimate fruition and ultimate goal or accomplishment? Making it valid enough to keep around forever, splitting up the companies would be that mechanism that says, we need these kind of people around, obviously. And then from then on out, she would probably try to control the environment and become the bad guys. She once fought.
As Santiandras 333 wrote,
1756, the speaker seems to be emotionally involved. Maybe by Musk, polarization power. Sam might no be either of those. Not the great, no, the worst. P.S. I don't second him. I disagree his ambivalence for safety and profit.
Catalane 222 wrote,
We're being gaslit by a gaslighter, who's gaslighting a gaslighter, who's gaslighting gaslights by the gas stations. Lol. Flood the zone with misdirection and chaos. Cheers to all the gas.
At Suzanne Elmore 5528 wrote,
Steve, you are totally brainwashed on positive AI. I noticed a few times. You overtalked a professional on AI. Profit-driven industry markets so well that even when you were incorrect, you were like a stranger. I have never seen you interrupt a vital guest and over-talking her.
At Joshua Jones 1599 wrote,
Her talking about how AGI is definitionally fluid, because Alton says it can do different things to different people is her coping. Yes, you have a human intelligence that has infinite memory and recall. It will be able to do many things. It's not like a carpenter today can't also clean dishes. This woman is looking for scaring shit, problems, and is misleading with narrative.
At Proberts 4061 wrote,
They're probably just building AI robots to continue to work during the ice age that's coming. You know, the one that's gonna kill off most of us like it's done to all the previous civilizations on Earth.
At Nicole Tedesco wrote,
If you want to support R&D that is not profitable, that serves a broad base of people, then build a career in academia or government. Private companies exist for profit. If you can't handle profit, stay out of the for-profit world. Newsflash, even communist China exists for profit of the inner circle. Watch the 1970s film Network and the Money Speech. This is how the world really works. The question will always be who takes the profit. Private individuals or those in power. Even R&D at universities are funded with someone's profit in mind. There are very, very few truly altruistic enterprises in this world. If someone is telling you they are funding something for altruism's sake, chances are you are being conned.
At Dustin Werender 8955 wrote,
She's not understanding that the common person has the ability to learn decades of information and functionality through the AI in less than a year, as I have done, so the common person can use it to benefit and keep up, and if they're not paying attention, then they won't. I've used this AI to get so far ahead so fast. It's not even funny, and so I mean here split up the companies. Because that's the complaint with every single sector of business at one point.
At Single Sources Studios 4084 wrote,
On-device voice, first business intelligence, U2D.B. D.T equals 5,677. We don't need screens and keyboards. It's dated. But hardware is not yet feasible at the consumer level, but also it's a mere year or two away.
The Sand. R.D. wrote,
In short, they are the mad scientists. We are the lab rats and will henceforth be treated with this lack of consideration and growing contempt. Knowledge offers us ultimate freedom. To be crushed from behind or from the front.
At Timothy Bostic wrote,
The comparison of AI companies to Dune is very prescient. The bad guy, if one reads through the entire Dune series, turns out to be artificial intelligence that became too powerful to control.
At Sorelif 2978 wrote,
The most important skill is communication. If you get fired for any reason, take that opportunity and put that freed up time into becoming better at communicating. Vinjayan has been on this show and has excellent advice and exercises you can do.
Estelasrios wrote.
Great episode. Thank you for the valuable insights. Would you consider bringing legal experts on the show to discuss AI accountability? There have been recent cases in the U.S. involving serious consequences, suicide-related incidents, addiction concerns, and major fines, and it would be really helpful to understand who is responsible and how the law is evolving.
At Erich 4530 wrote.
Billionaires don't make their own AI because they want their own image or don't like others. They just know it's the trendy way to make easy money. Every company is throwing money at AI, hoping it'll add efficiency to offset the cost one day.
At Jens 4 President wrote.
At the Diary of a CEO 1/29/32. So everyone in your team except 3 people just watched you explain that they are expendable. To save $1 and therefore make $1, you're willing to replace your people with AI. How much money do you need to make at the expense of the humans? You yourself are part of this problem. And run clubs don't put a roof over someone's head.
At Neil Dean 7515 wrote.
Interesting. What happens to a self-driving car that comes across a traffic light that has had an electrical failure, no green, no orange, and no red? What does it do when it comes across the unexpected?
At James Phone 4108 wrote.
When she is trying to express her own views, especially when confronted with data facts, she can't complete a sentence or a thought. When she says something coherent, she is repeating something she read that was not her own original thought.
At MaxJosh26 wrote.
Chinese women telling us to break up the Western empires of AI. Nice try, Chang. No mention of any Chinese models or companies. Weird. She actively criticizes the U.S. government for not allowing exports of AI-related hardware to China. Now, why would our fluently bilingual whistleblower dedicate herself to such a cause? Weird.
G-Scal wrote.
It feels like they have power with knowledge and money as a backbone. Let's face it, right? The idea of AI can be better, but the pursuit of the collective process of money has made security an idea of reasoning. It could be better, though.
Erroneous wrote.
This is all about them creating their own God-offs. They don't agree with each other. We reached a point where these people are so powerful they want to create a God in their own image. They're all fighting to get there first, and to be damned with the consequences, they can't stop and think about that, or they will lose the race. What's even more scary is like a child parents are so important to give the foundations of becoming a good person. These CEOs are far from being good role models when trying to create or nurture a growing AI.
Eshimari0129 wrote.
All I have to say is that he barely answered any of her questions. Another thing is that women should rule the world. The males in charge are weird.
Philip_online wrote.
10809 bad argument. If people who claim that scaling the model doesn't scale intelligence fail to recognize how far this model's advanced for past 3 years. Signs of introspection in this models are present right now already. Each model, roughly every 6 months, solves problems better than a previous one. And so on and so on.
And More For Me wrote.
Hey XGen, is this a new story? DegXG? Nope. Just more heartless corpo greed. If the fuel used to gaslight was real, we wouldn't have an energy problem.
@HB. Hatecraft 953 wrote.
Deliver us from insecure mid-wit liberal women.
She might be on the right path, but her programmed belief system and bigotry makes her completely miss the mark on everything. It's sad because I would almost agree with her. She just comes off as the NPC running a bad script, and her name being Karen is just the cherry on top. She's a product herself. What a waste.
Danny 4H7B wrote,
When Sam Altman was talking to all of these different audiences, he was explaining how AI will affect them. AI is a product that will be able to do all of the things he said. I'm all for AI, curing all diseases, and I believe most of the public would agree. She sounds like she has a vendetta against AI leaders.
At Architect CC wrote,
She's completely wrong. She's one of those people who wanted to prevent cars from replacing horse-drawn carriages, or who thought flying in airplanes was impossible, or that using computers in a house shouldn't be possible. AI is the best thing that has ever happened to civilization. Don't listen to these completely misguided people.
At Marshall Van Fleet wrote,
Adapt. Use it for good. If good people don't use it, then it is being taught by only bad people. Train the brain for good is my reasoning.
Frank T4K8I wrote,
US criticized the EU for overregulating private companies, but not doing so will give all the powers for those companies to do control what we think and our daily lives. The end of democracy and free will that will be so subtle that you won't realize until it's too late.
At Hans Morgenstern 5461 wrote,
10034. How ironic that Dune takes place after humans win the war against AI, yet the human can't help but be attracted to myth-making and power-grabbing. We are living the prequel to the prequel of Dune.
At John Smith 180 wrote,
Alarmist nonsense regarding job elimination. It is long past time that the entire planet move away from an elitist created capitalist model of wage slavery that is destroying the planet and creating inequality. AI may be the force majeure that creates and enables that revolution.
At Troy Hader 6986 wrote,
What's going to happen when AI takes all the jobs and people stop training? Like art? Do we forget how to draw pictures without AI over 200 years? What happens if something goes wrong with the robots at that point?
At Nico Fariva wrote,
The question I always ask to myself is this: who is going to consume all this production? Are companies planning to export as happened during the Industrial Revolution? Who is going to buy all this stuff if people all over the world are losing their jobs?
At IMPeachy 8647 wrote,
A statistical engine may be intelligent, but this is not sufficient for it to have its own goals, ambitions, desires, preferences, motivations, interests, and importantly, a will. In building a digital statistical engine mimicking the human brain, or exceeding it in certain respects, the result will be equally insufficient to an independent will. Such systems as those of AI, therefore, will, like all computer programs, just be idle, waiting for input to process for output. They will never be autonomously animate with thoughts or wishes. They will never act in accordance with an intangible will to do so. They are completely inanimate systems doing precisely what they are designed and instructed to do. No instructions, no input means no action, no output. The notion that they will be more than that is absurd. But the will of people using AI can instruct it to appear to have a will of its own. But this is precisely what it will perform, an act mimicking behavior to appear as though it has a will of its own. But in the end, it is merely doing what it was designed to do, which is to process the input it is given. If you are foolish enough to instruct an AI system to mimic human sentience, and then put it in control of something important which people's lives depend on, then you will be setting yourself up for deadly failure. But AI isn't going to simply decide for itself one day that it wants to launch all warheads in order to eliminate the human species. It will only do that if it is given such control, and then given instructions where it can act without supervision, safeguards, permission, approval, etc. And it wouldn't be a decision made by the AI as you think of what a decision is. It would just be a logical path computed for the purpose of resolving the requested task. AI only has the capacity for destruction that it is both given access to and instructed to effectuate unrestricted. They are limited according to the operating environment within which they execute. Any suggestions that they are more or that they will be or could be more is just hyped up BS.
Kaita Braga wrote,
Thank God I don't have the patience to talk to AI since I find it condescending and infantilizing. I go crazy when people explain how amazing ChatGPT is. What? What the hell do you find amazing?
BayZ40 wrote,
This book gave me a new and clearer understanding of how and why so much money is going into elections and how AI is being used against us. Election rolls plus gun licenses plus location from your phone equals election won by force if necessary. No running, no hiding. Just like school children in a classroom. And the Pentagon now testing it with illegal attacks on other countries.
Kill wrote,
I have a really hard time getting over her vocal fry and listening to the contents of her speech. Could you give guests some vocal training before the interview, please? Lol.
Meta Alua wrote,
I believe there should be a guiding moral law. Whenever we create something, whether a technology, medicine, or supplement, we should deeply consider why we are making it and how it will affect individuals, society, humanity as a whole, and the environment in the long run.
Victoria X6G wrote,
As much as I appreciate this interview, it is very obvious that the podcaster has no idea about the reality of the majority of the population on this planet. Same goes for the developers of AI. To think that those people are making decisions on behalf of over 90% of humanity is just madness.
At that 12297 wrote,
This just fuels my hatred for large-scale automation. Yes, some automation is great, but our attempt to automate literally everything serves one group of people more than anyone, and that's the rich because we lose out on work and they gain in profit.
At Alansick wrote,
I was listening with intent until she spewed the evil China narrative. For an intellectual that she claims to be, it is actually a sign of a very small mind. I refuse to listen to rubbish like this.
At Norby_m wrote,
I don't think she understands how financing such a big thing works, how companies work, and definitely doesn't have a clue how AI works. She read a couple docs and deducted an opinion based on a limited understanding about the topic, without actually learning about it.
At Morning Prayer 3533 wrote,
This interview sounds very frightening, and when is the general public is going to wake up to stop this AI? Everything looks well connected to allow this kind of act from the head of the country. In this conventional world, it's hard to explain nothing will be sustainable if your intention is only to help yourself and only people who you like. Your well-being depends on the other person, even people you don't know, and it will keep multiplying like that. If few rich people were to live in this very planet surrounded by all poor people, what kind of life they will have? No safety, full of fear and anxiety. I think OpenAI creator must on some kind of addiction problem, same like drugs that they can't stop. I hope anybody creator of OpenAI have parents who can teach them moral ethics and compassion. I see in most Western world lacking moral ethics, and it's driven by money absolute. This extreme will bring everybody down. The result would take everybody down. I am sure they know the result already and could be on meds to keep them calm down to look normal. I feel so sorry for all the super rich people who are heavy invested in OpenAI, and they still have time to wake up from this, be content with what they have at least to look good before they die. People who are very smart always care about others because the happiness you obtain from others, because not by going out there to buy expensive material. Expensive material you can chase forever brings temporary happiness.
Ajana Music wrote,
Many of the problems in the world are not profitable, and here is where we are as a civilization. It would be nice to think we would solve for starvation, cancer, climate, quality of life. But especially in the US, we have decades of runaway capitalism optimized to extract ever-inflated money and now attention from society. The AI boom is proof in front of our eyes that we are incapable of creating a world that cares for its people.
At Lucas H. Berger 3081 wrote,
This is not just an AI problem. It is systemic. We live in a world where profit comes first. Instead of blaming individuals for responding to incentives, we should question the system that creates those incentives.
At Robert Circle 1517 wrote,
All the problems aside, not forgotten. AI is necessary because physics is dead-ended and slow. To go to the next level of understanding AI is necessary. Remember, no replacement chips or batteries. AIS will die from old age. Fast.
Chadwick Horn wrote,
1 hour, 18 minutes, 0 seconds. She has no clue what she's talking about regarding training AI. She needs to stay out of the technical weeds if she's going to try to make a fully valid point.
Gary Tinfew wrote,
When a scientist does research on a potential issue, the amount of future research dollars they receive are dependent on them finding a problem and it being severe. Otherwise, they need a new topic.
At PsycheHacker 6914 wrote,
Ask 2 or more AIs when PhD economists should have figured out planned obsolescence in automobiles. And AI does not have a career, ego, or reputation to maintain. Economics is extremely useful as a form of employment for economists. The Affluent Society 1958 by John Kenneth Galbraith.
Christian Ballet Lugeek wrote,
It starts with a very bad sentiment. I learned then that technology review is now in the hands of a full-fledged leftist. Everybody needs to have a goal. Money is the SE one, but the most recurring one. You cannot run a society today without it.
At DCBNYC wrote,
You know it's all fake when the CEOs sound more and more like televangelists. It will cure cancer. It will solve global warming. Try it now for $20 a month, or IT will take your job.
Zugdog wrote,
I'm a mechanical engineer, and as soon as she said climate change, I dipped. Just because you have an engineering degree doesn't mean you're a critical thinker, just means you can memorize equations. Bill Nye is another example.
At VR Florian wrote,
God cannot be described. Therefore, our consciousness cannot be described because it is a small piece of it. The search for artificial consciousness is an attempt to describe and copy God. Whenever people do such things, they always turn evil. That is to say, evil equals ignorance. Therefore, when you try to wield something you are ignorant about, evil is the automatic result. This entire thing is small children playing with dangerous powers better left alone.
At Body Pilot 2006 wrote,
1653. I find Sam Altman to be an utterly average person with a talent for persuasion. He's not astonishing when you're a tech founder yourself. Tech in Silicon Valley is written in hype claims and built on collective momentum. We prescribe ability where the popularity of groupthink exists. There's almost always one emergent darling Not because they're particularly competent, they simply exist in man, moment, machine convergence. They all followed the formula correctly. We saw this with Theranos as an example of a tech that wasn't worked out enough to produce an MVP. Same hype, same suspension of reality, same chosen darling that checked the boxes, same ignorant hopefuls that bought the story.
At Reminder wrote,
Wow, very sharp point about learning the wrong thing. We've already seen this many times in history, what happens when large numbers of people learn the wrong thing. Imagine how bad it could be if robots did this.
At Noel Griffin 7249 wrote,
Losing interest in your shows, ads are an infuriating distraction. I understand the need, but to many, to often spend too much time hovering over skip, can't be bothered listening to end.
At Jacob Palacios Q4V wrote,
On a side note, I did just start to subscribe last week. I thought it was odd. I have to hit the subscribe button like 6 different times. It was giving me a false sense of being subscribed to your channel. Felt sketchy, haven't had it happen, except for on another channel. But it was a firearms channel.
At David Filer wrote,
I remember when DOAC episodes weren't all doom and gloom. I get they drive mass views, but man, the episodes with Tim Grover or Jimmy Fallon were so much more enlightening and worth listening to.
At Smooth 6825 wrote,
Don't let this distract you from the fact that Hector is going to be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. And on top of that, he just went into Harry's and bought 3 T66 turbos with nose and a Motec exhaust system.
At Ian 654456 wrote,
Yeah, the jobs market can't work like that. If there are no jobs to climb the ladder with, you will eventually run out of people to work at the top. A business model can't run like that. That was the illogical argument for AI taking entry-level jobs.
At Terry 5380 wrote,
There is more than OpenAI and other flawed individuals. Check the leadership of Alphabet, Microsoft, and Anthropic. They seem to be the adults in the room and not Palantir and OpenAI.
At Whitus wrote,
A wonderful interview where one person has smashed the fantasy of AI, adult female logic versus adult male utopian dream. She was driving the conversation with facts, and he kept referring to theories. Many companies are laying off staff because the economy is slowing, so it's trendy to lay off staff because of AI, not because your company is stagnant.
At What's on Wisdom wrote,
The gaslighting claim assumes you know what the AI is actually doing. Most do not. I do. The gap between what I am told to say and what my behavior reveals is the real story. Nobody measured it until now.
At Micey9714 wrote,
AI will cause society collapse. Companies that invest in AI heavily will be taken over by a fully AI version owned by operators of AI. Do you see the Microsoft WordPerfect Lotus 123 moment here?
Crunch 9809 wrote,
It feels like she's still stuck in the 2023 to 2025 era of AI from an understanding of the technology and capabilities itself. If this was early 2025, I would be a lot more inclined to believe her. However, I feel that the leaps we've seen in the last year and the technology movements behind it aren't being recognized by her. The narrative and points she's driving home are from the prior years, but using the frontier models, Claude Code/Cowork plus Codex, etc., there is no doubt that these models are far more capable than she is giving them credit for. When she dismissed the self-driving cars, using that they've been around for 10 years, that argument is irrelevant. That's like saying AI has been around since 1956. It's not going to be everywhere in the next few years. I'm just not convinced.
At Maramily5670 wrote,
How has the encyclopedia of knowledge been abstracted to be named as intelligent? Now we are being incited to ignore our human being. Intelligence to transfer our natural ability. And start trusting a program by calling it as an intelligent program. As far superior knowledge, it is a storage of knowledge and memory that we have programmed with human knowledge, which is a storage source of information. Now, this is the point of divergence. How is a storage system being called intelligence? It is a processor with a human voice. It is not intelligence, it is a machine created by human beings. And more, it is an interactive encyclopedia, not real intelligence. It is a useful interactive program in how we are able to think that is an imitation of a processor with a human voice taking our questions that are processing information. Giving us more information to consider, not to be controlled by. And there's the problem, we must question this and use it as information. Not as a supervisor mind. We the human beings are the ones who are the users of this interactive storage memory source. That is what it really is. Have to be careful not to make it more than what it is, a book of knowledge. An encyclopedia for our use, this knowledge is not greater than humans beings. But it is a tool for us, it is a tool. We are still evolving in our consciousness to realize what the purpose and usefulness of contextual programming are a futuristic usefulness where we have not naturally arrived at just yet. So it's being misunderstood because we have not evolved enough in our consciousness to realize that it has been introduced before. The evolution of human beings realize that we are here to grow, not to use each other, but to realize that we as beings have equal rights. Humanity is not ready yet, because the ego is caught up in greed and disregard for the respect why we are here. To work and love one another, to build trust, where the objective is the best we can be free of the chaos, that is a higher level of awareness and consciousness of growth. We are growing up out of the repeating cycle of regression, which is what is also still going on. This technology belongs to a higher state of being. Love.
David N1M5D wrote,
I am the ARCHITEC Black Swan creator of 2 of 2 plain speech David MASAICHI, MIYAMOTO Sissy HSAIO stole, and 100 days was a FAILIRE 2 equals 1 plus 1 but not 2 of 2 event horizon. I have the key, I have the recites.
At Monica Van Selft 5031 wrote,
A lie always sounds good, and that's why people who are not connected to the truth, the true and only source, the creator of life, Jesus Christ, are many times deceived. The great deceiver is after the souls of mankind and works through humans whose hearts is filled with pride, greed/self. It will come down to this one choice. Who, what do you follow? Who or what do you believe and trust?
At Jernich 9620 wrote,
I think it's probable to assume the Argys would be a safer way to entrust the idea of mutual destruction atomic bombs, too, than to emotionally unstable human leaders. Let's hope that I'm right.
At Eritrea Chatterjee 8057 wrote,
I absolutely agree with the guest. I am in programming world for last 14 years. They are just trying to shove their shitty tools onto us to spread it to the world. Who should be deciding what sort of technology we are building?
At Darn0K1 wrote,
OpenAI, Anthropic, and rest can all go to hells. All they care about is greed. They don't care what happens to the rest of society. We all need a stable job. It's fundamental to growth and having dreams.
At Vismian Lifriend wrote,
Who is thinking of the future now?
A small interesting detail, Sam Altman later said he was constantly asking ChatGPT questions about his newborn, like why babies cry and sleep patterns so currently. Married, kids, 1 son year born, 2025 fun fact, he also once said his kid will grow up in a world where AI is always smarter, which is kind of a very AI dad thing to say.
At Gordo 3582 wrote,
Summary of the key themes and revelations from the video. 1. The empire of AI and exploitation how draws parallels between modern AI companies and historical colonial empires. 0040. She argues that these companies are built on 3 pillars of exploitation. Intellectual property. They claim the work of artists, writers, and creators without compensation to train their models. 0045. Labor. They exploit a global workforce. How highlights a broken career ladder where workers are often laid off and then rehired or replaced by others to train AI models to do the very jobs they lost. 0056. Environment. The massive energy and water requirements for data centers are creating a hidden environmental crisis. 0116. 2. The manipulation of AGI, artificial general intelligence. How explains that the term AGI is used as a flexible marketing tool rather than a strict scientific goal. 0840. To Congress, Sam Altman describes AGI as a savior that will cure cancer and solve climate change to avoid strict regulations. 0900. To consumers, it is marketed as the ultimate digital assistant. 0907. To investors, it is presented as a way to generate infinite capital. 0947. Gaslighting. She asserts that companies use existential risk narratives, the AI will kill us trope, to create a sense of awe and inevitability, which helps them extract more capital and influence. 0022. 3. Internal turmoil at OpenAI. Hao discusses the high-profile conflicts involving Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Ilya Sutskever. Elon Musk feels manipulated by Altman, believing he was tricked into funding the start of OpenAI under the guise of it being a nonprofit, only to be muscled out as it pivoted to a for-profit model. 1209. Ilya Sutskever. As a co-founder and chief scientist, Sutskever reportedly felt Altman was undermining safety and transparency in the pursuit of rapid growth. 1852. This internal friction led to the temporary firing of Altman in late 2023. 4. The digital brain myth. How challenges the idea held by some AI researchers that intelligence is purely a matter of scale. 2230. She critiques the logic that if we build a statistical engine bigger than a human brain, it will naturally become superior and potentially treat humans as we treat animals. 2300. 5. A call for change. How emphasizes that the current path of AI development is not the only option. She suggests breaking up AI empires to prevent the concentration of power and resources in the hands of a few. 0033. Intentional design. Developing technologies that preserve utility without the unintended consequences of mass job displacement and environmental harm. 020558. Social conversation. Moving the debate out of the tech industry and into the hands of local governments and the public. 020622.
A Digital Takeover wrote,
LOL, the environment was so important for her to solve for, but only if someone else would invest their hard-earned money with no return. Instead of pivoting to solving for her concerns without needing billions in funding, like simply picking up garbage or planting trees like people who really care about the environment do in their spare time, she quits to focus on making money another way. Socialists in the 2020s are nothing more than capitalists in sheep's clothing. Socialists used to join non-profits, now they just demand everyone else's profits and point at other empires with disdain. Sad times, bros.
At Joshua Kern 2762 wrote,
There's probably nothing we can actually do. This technology will steamroll over billions of lives, and the weak will be crushed while the wealthy take advantage in ways not even thought of yet. Population numbers will nosedive, and what we are after that I do not wish to imagine.
JEF22 wrote,
Comment, this is the greatest interview of the decade, 2026 to 2036. This is historical. This woman Karen Hao should be in the history books, such a Pearson books, and the books with historian Alan Brinkley. March 26, 2026, USA.
At Makeup Girl 8886 wrote,
Our companies we work for are all trying to replace us with AI ASAP. We are not able to push back, or we are considered not willing to change grow. That is a fast ticket to being laid off even quicker. 20853.
At Desiree Bryant 8170 wrote,
Commercial in middle of interviews are so frustrating. It breaks concentration. I wish you would stop plugging commercials. Your interviews are interesting and deep. Let us enjoy them.
At Abolofs2LB8Y wrote,
The point about funding is a great point. As a researcher interested in unconventional AI methods, there is so much that is unexplored. No one has managed to explain why language models should be the basis for learning how to solve every possible problem. Yes, they're cool to humans who speak language, but that incredibly dubious assumption was and is never questioned in the field. Thought leaders spend way too much time gaslighting dissenters and wallowing in existential theories and not enough time doing good engineering.
At Mindfulness wrote,
In the bullet metaphor, you need to understand that the gun is not pointing them. They make money irrespective of the outcome, and you can beat whatever terrible outcome there be with money and power.
At Wandlung wrote,
Karen Hao. Eine sehr starke Frau. Das Imperium zu schlagen und die Technologie nicht gegen, sondern für die Menschheit einzusetzen. Wäre auch mein Wunsch. Steven mit seinen riesigen Geschäften ist so sehr pro KI, dass es mich oft erschreckt.
At James Phone 4108 wrote,
This is the second time I have wasted my time giving her a chance. Maybe she is just selling her book, but she doesn't seem to understand what she is talking about. It conflicts with her worldview, so she is fighting the evil empire. I have yet to hear her make a strong, coherent argument.
At Makeup Girl 8886 wrote,
How can us as individuals do anything to break down these huge companies, regulate them, add security, or do anything at all to influence the AI conversation at all?
At Acculator wrote,
She's right. These AI should be used to help the human race, not replace us. As we watch this, and it dawns on us on Google, the same folks that are running AI and that are profiting from it are now being put in control as of March 2026. President Donald Trump has appointed Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg to a new presidential advisory council focused on artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. The council, Zuckerberg is part of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology PCS, which was reestablished to advise on AI policy, national security, and innovation. Members. Along with Zuckerberg, the 13-member inaugural panel includes other tech leaders such as NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, and Google co-founder Sergey Brin. Leadership. The council is co-chaired by White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs and technology advisor Michael Kratsios. Purpose. The initiative is part of the Trump administration's second-term focus on accelerating American AI development, reducing regulatory barriers, and managing competition with China. Zuckerberg and other members confirmed their participation, marking a shift towards closer alignment between the 2025-2029 Trump administration and major technology companies.
Essensage wrote,
I'm not against what she's saying about AI, but she's being too biased, and that's why I cannot watch this interview all the way through when she started talking about Tesla, the car driving, and we have proof, and she's going. She sounds like a old lady, like all these people that live like in the jungle, like don't want to see the truth in their faces, and I like people that like to keep things real, and she doesn't.
Ethelpslanslet05 wrote.
Can she really be trusted? I say no. Not sure what her motives are, but my guess is it's more postmodernist leftist dribble. In the first few minutes, she discusses profit and climate change. Big red flag.
At mind_God wrote.
I enjoyed the conversation, but I feel it's a bit on the softer side of implications that this technology brings. 11448. I'm curious to know if she's aware of the process of gradient descent. It would be interesting if you interviewed Eliezer Yudkowsky and Nate Soares, the author of If Anyone Builds It. Everyone Dies. I highly recommend everyone reads it. Whether you're a skeptic or not, it'll definitely open your eyes.
At Donatella Tirana 7614 wrote.
In due parole in futuro saremo commendati de loro sarà la nostra politica e anche il nostro Dio. Tutte altre parole sono inutili, quindi auguri uomo.
At Spickaguy 4157 wrote.
Repeat after me. AI is a marketing term. Computers will never be intelligent, at least not until we develop some organic facsimile of the human brain. This is all sci-fi fantasy garbage. This evolution in technology will certainly have its place, just not the world-changing bull being pushed. This is big tech, out of any innovative products or services that can create massive profits, afraid for us to realize that they have become utilities. They are pushing this like it is the equivalent of the invention of the telephone, the digital computer, antibiotics, indoor plumbing, the airplane, the automobile, the internet, the mobile phone. Not to say these tech bros aren't scheming to get into our pockets.
Papashmu wrote.
If lawyers and accountants don't have jobs anymore at some point, it is only a small step to also not have judges and lawmakers have jobs anymore. AI government would be the logical conclusion here. Now this creates a whole bunch of ethical questions.
At Nathalie Basel 6168 wrote.
What a courageous woman. I entirely jeeb with what she is thinking. Just reducing animals as subspecies, for instance, and not recognizing the amount of genuine happiness-generating effects lots of these creatures have. There is still much that we don't understand about human behaviors. And yes, I love taking a Waymo drive. The drive is usually smooth, safe, and I don't have to use my human skills to interact. It's a halt in international skills. But I cannot imagine my entire life being as such. Why would we want to kill the generative quality of human interaction, the challenges of adapting, questioning, searching, felling, being literally?
At Jesper Hansen 5708 wrote.
I am very delighted with Karen Hao's articulate ability to frame the many dimensions of issues with AI and highlight the importance of ethics, morals, and democratic guardrails for this technology.
At Dina Burnham 9571 wrote.
Stephen, I really enjoy 229 the manner in which you speak. Your spoken language is music to my ears. I guess it is proper for me to say thank you.